right. Well, welcome back to Music Talk. I'm Dave.
Mike. That's right.
And Ben and Jerry, or whoever you want to call us today. That way. So this week we're checking out a cat named Jared James Nichols.
Yes.
Album cover looks like this. We got another Lightning Bolt album cover this week. We had one on a review or two ago with Anthony Gomes. Now we got Jared James Nichols throwing another one at us. Got his signature Les Paul in his hand there. Inside cover looks like this. You got the track listings, people on here. There he is. Give you another picture. No words on this. No pamphlet. Nothing. The back you get the track listings. Another picture of Jared. Inside cover looks like this. The inside of the CD, rather. No cover on the inside. So what's interesting to me on the front of this cover is if you look closely, it's a guitar that's all scratched up, and you can see the rivets. I have my basses look like this. When I used to wear Levi's, it would poke these little holes in the back of your guitar,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's what it looks like here. It's like he's just showing you the back of his guitar.
The rivets. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can see it here too. If you look real close on that, you can see where it's all scratched to crap,
Mm-hmm.
or he's just been ripping it apart.
That's his Epiphone.
But it makes it sound good though when you scratch it up like that. Gives it
Oh, yeah.
character.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Well, you know.
so I didn't really find a whole lot about this guy. I've heard a couple of interviews with him. He talks a lot about some of his influences. He was into Leslie West. He was into Bonamassa. Um, he liked, of course, Stevie Ray Vaughan, and what's the guy from Ozzy? Zach Wild.
Yeah.
So he was into him pretty good. Now, this interesting about him is he does all finger picking. He doesn't use a pick at all,
No pick. Mm-hmm.
so that's pretty cool. And his signature Les Paul is basically just one pickup, and that's
Yeah.
it. You
Yeah. He
know,
preferred. He uses only either Gibson original P90s or new ones that Seymour Duncan
yeah,
makes.
yeah. So I mean, he's got a guy on here named Dennis Holm playing drums. He's got two bass players. One guy named Clark Singleton plays on pretty much the whole CD, but Greg Garner plays on two tracks, which is the third one and the seventh, Down the Drain and Long Way Home.
Yeah.
But other than that, not much here to it. Um, it sounds like this is one of them records. It sounds like they just went in there. They all three sat down, plugged their stuff into an amp, and just kicked it right out, man. And that was it. Ain't a whole
Yep.
lot to it, you know.
Well, I mean, I love three-piece bands.
Mm-hmm.
I love three-piece bands. It makes
Yeah.
life simple. The one thing I got to say about the album is I wish he would have used the talent of the drums and the bass player a little bit more.
Yeah.
Uh, now I'm not faulting him because there were good arrangements on these songs, but a lot of the arrangements were predictable.
Yeah.
Uh, Not that that's bad.
Mm-hmm.
I love, especially when I'm out just listening to a band, but I'm partying with friends and stuff. It's nice to have music that's predictable because nothing
Yeah.
breaks your concentration.
Well, one thing though about this is I have a couple notes that I usually talk about at the end, but since you brought that up, I did like the way the bass and drums kind of changed up the solos, because a lot of times when you hear songs, they just play over a verse or a chorus or whatever. But
Right,
just,
right.
most of the songs on here, when it came time for him to solo, the bass and drummer changed everything up.
Yeah.
And I like that so much because now they're doing something different. You're hearing what's going on. The guitar player is just ripping it. And it's not just following the same old cookie cutter, verse, chorus,
Yeah.
bridge out,
But to add to that now, and that was one little thing that did stick in the back of my mind. And don't get me wrong, I liked it. I just wish that they would have done. I wish he would have picked out a good ballad and
Mhm.
put on there instead of relying on the fact, like the bass and drums doing halftime playing behind the solos or something like that. Which I mean is very effective. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, But it would have been nice to hear a song that was a ballad or a slow blues, and then punch it up to like some kind of, I don't know, six
You're
eight
not,
jazz.
you're not getting that at all on this record.
No,
You're
no,
getting a straight flat out rocker, man.
right. Well, I mean, it's a Roadhouse blues rock band. That's what it is. I mean,
Dude, I'm telling you,
playing
man.
Sturgis, they played the Buffalo Chip and stuff like that. And do South by Southwest and all that stuff.
It reminds me of just, this guy steps up on stage, he plugs his guitar in, he turns it on, and that's it, man.
That's
Let's
it.
just go, you
Yep.
know. And it's like one of the most live sounding records that I've heard in a long time. Um, it really truly feels like you were sitting in the room with them this time.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, the
I agree with that.
engineering and the recording were not
I
the
agree.
best.
I agree with that. I thought they did a real good job uh, of working with the drums. I'm always gonna default to the drums.
Yeah.
I mean, if you get that right, the rest of it's piece of cake.
Yeah. Yeah, you could hear the bass pretty good too, but I just thought that the recording was lacking a little bit. It didn't. I felt like they should have done a little better job engineering this, to me.
Well,
But
I think
if
in
they,
some scenarios, just like with and like what we're talking about here, I mean, this is a Roadhouse band, so
Mhm,
most of these people that are catering to these clubs now are, they're listening to music in their pickup trucks or on their motorcycle.
yeah,
Um, and some of these guys are probably running these big subwoofers in the trunk of their car or something.
yeah,
So when you start putting that to light and mixing and stuff like that, well, then on an average system, it's going to fall short as far as flash dancing and stuff because unless you got a subwoofer like I do, you're going to miss that low end because I can click the subwoofer in and out. I got a foot switch for it to where I can listen to it.
yeah.
Pretty cool. So
I just
it
felt
was,
like it needed just a little more polishing to me.
yeah. Well, without subwoofer, and that's what I'm saying. Without subwoofer, it sounded pretty flat.
Yeah,
Uh, but once I kicked that subwoofer in, it was yeah. I mean, it's like there it is.
I
But
tell you what, dude,
not everybody goes for that.
it's definitely a rocker, man. I ain't gonna lie to you. This thing just kicked total butt.
Yep.
Um, but we'll go ahead and go through the stuff real quick. Um, I don't really have a whole lot to say about this record because I couldn't find a lot of information on him. He didn't really talk about this record much. The only time they ever talk to him, he's talking about his guitars and his playing.
Yep.
So I don't really have a whole lot to break down. I'm just going to run through the song list real quick or give you my take at the end. And, you know, I will tell you right now before we even start that you need to go check this record out because this is one kick ass record here. This dude is a monster guitar player.
He is. He is.
I mean,
He,
unbelievable.
he doesn't play above your head, and
No,
I like that a lot. It
yeah,
reminded me a lot of Grand Funk
I
per
was going
se.
to say that too, man. Because I was sitting here thinking, like earlier when I said it sounds like a guitar player that just goes and plugs in and just takes off. I was thinking, Mark Farner. I was thinking, John Sykes, somebody like that that just goes in, plugs the guitar in, looks at the two dudes behind him, and says, "All right, dude, let's get it."
Yeah.
And just
Just raise
1 hour, you're just getting it,
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
And
And
that's how I felt on this record. So anyway, it starts out with My Delusion. To me, a great rocker. It's kind of a standard blues rock. It's a little more edgy than a standard blues rock.
mm-hmm.
But man, the band was pumping. The guitar was pumping. His voice was great. I mean, great song right off the bat,
Yeah. Yep. Good bass line in this too.
for sure.
And again, the drums to me sounded great. I love the bass drum sound.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, it opens up, man, and you're hooked from the
Yeah.
first note. I mean, he
I'm
comes
just
in, just, you know,
yeah. I'm just glad to see drummers, and finally you've got engineers and studios that are accepting this fact of not throwing every rug they can find inside a bass drum
hmm
and not taking a couple of rolls of duct tape and taping drums up, letting the drums sing.
yeah. And that's what I was saying at the beginning of this is, this is about as live sounding CD as you'll ever hear.
Yeah.
Because it's just like walking into a club and watching these dudes play, man. I mean, that's what you're hearing
Yep.
on this record. So number two, we get Easy Come, Easy Go. It's pretty cool. I like the rim clicks the drummer was doing on this one. I thought that was a good change up. You had a cool breakdown for the solo. Another, again, I'm going to say this a lot, a kick-ass rocker.
Yep.
Kind of like it kind of reminded me of like a hard rocking Stray Cats song in a way.
Yeah, I
Because it had
got
that
that.
swing.
Well, it had that swing and that rockabilly thing happening.
Right.
A little bit. The thing that changes it up is his attack on the guitar and his vocals. He's killer vocals.
Yeah, he is.
I like his vocal work.
I do too, man. I mean, it's the whole thing, man. It's just great.
Yep.
So, number three we get to is Down the Drain, and we talked a little bit about this earlier. I think it sounded a little bit like Alice in Chains, and you were saying it sounds like Soundgarden's Black Hole Sun.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the way they introed it and the way they got into the song, was kind of verbatim the way Black Hole Sun went, but then once they got into it, it took on a whole different picture.
It did, yeah. And then when he starts belting it out, man, and it's like, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
So,
And I will say this too, and I was reading about this on some of his biography. He only uses one pedal.
yeah.
That's it. There's no effects other than what he's getting out of his guitar and his amp.
Yeah, there's a couple times when he's using a few things, like you can hear a flanger on a couple of things, and then he's got that wah he uses. He's got like
But
a wah.
I think that's all on that pedal, that one pedal he's using. I think
It
it's
could
all
be.
right there.
It might be stuff he's got built into his amp too.
And he did. He went over to Europe and they built him a Black Star amplifier. Of course, this guitar is named Old Glory. In January 2019, he collaborated with British company Black Star Amplification to develop a signature amp called the JJN20.
So then we get to number four, and this is Hardwired. And this one has this great guitar solo intro. And man, the tone he gets on that intro is unbelievable, dude. I mean, it's just belting it right in your face. And then he builds up with the bass and drums. And then when they join in, it's like, boom, man. And then it just comes in kicking. I mean, the chorus is great. The bridge has got a great bass line going on. I mean, this reminds me a lot of a Deep Purple, Rainbow, Black Sabbath type, straight out just getting it, man. They're all just rolling. You know what I mean? Great song.
Every one of his songs. I mean, you could put this whole album on a jukebox in a bar, and any given, I'd play any of these songs. I'd throw my money in there.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm talking old school jukebox where you walk up and actually put your quarters in, punch 3 buttons, and you watch the thing move.
Yeah.
That was half of it. It's like winning a game. It's down my record.
That's right. So then we get to number 5, and that's Bad Roots. It's a good driving song. This reminded me of a Kiss. It reminded me of something Kiss would do. Had the same 70s Kiss sound. It just reminded me a lot of one of their songs.
Yeah.
Not in particular, but it just has that sound, And then we get to number 6, Skin and Bone. And this one, it's a good rocker. It's got that flanger part going on, which I thought was a little much. But the chorus on this is exactly like a song by a band called Space Hog. And the song's called Just Like You. He says, all in all, we're just the same. If you go listen to that Space Hog song, it's the exact same chorus. Almost the words are the same too. But still, he puts his thing on it, and it's, I thought it was a cover song first time I heard the chorus. And I went back, I was like, oh, it's not a cover. Man, he really did take that chorus from that song. But still like it. Still a good song.
Yep.
And then we get to The Long Way Home. And I love the way they dropped into this verse, man. I didn't really care for the OOOs and all that stuff. I'm always a stickler for you know, ohs and oohs and ahs. If they don't make sense, then I don't think you need to use them. But anyway, I wasn't really big on that one. Uh, then Shadow Dancer comes out, and man, I love the intro. It's got that great verse, great chorus, a cool riff on that chorus, man. It's a little slower paced than the rest of the songs until like 2 minutes in, and then it's kicking you again, right?
Katie
but,
barred the door.
but man, that's a great song. And
Right, right, right.
and I want to say I thought I saw somewhere where he did an EP a few years back called Shadow Dancer. So I'm wondering if this was on the EP and he put it back on this for his debut album. So I don't know.
That's hard to say. You know,
I mean, I really did have hard time finding stuff out about him.
yeah, it's well, like I say, a lot of what I'm reading is off the Wikipedia thing. So, you can
Yeah,
take that with a grain of salt too. But
yeah,
you know, we're talking about a guy born in Waukesha, Wisconsin. He wasn't in the heart of any metro sub, you
mm-mm.
know, area. Um, so you know, part of what happened was is he went ahead and I guess he went to Los Angeles and he released an EP,
Yeah,
like 3 or 4 songs on it, and then through the grapevine, whatever, he wound up in Nashville.
right.
Where I guess he's still with these same producers. I don't know who produced that.
This album was produced by, I was just reading it a second ago too. It was produced and mixed by Eddie Spear. But yeah, so Shadow Dancer, you know, is a great song. Then we get to number 9, Good
Mhm.
Time Girl. And this has this really great riff with this wah wah effect on it. You know,
Yep.
it's like, it's not like I don't know if he's using a wah pedal or if he's just using the pedal that does the wah effect, which is what I
Right.
think he was
Right. An
using.
envelope filter.
Right. Yeah. But it's really cool. I love the verse. The chorus is okay. It didn't hit as hard as the verse, but man, it's got a great bass in this one again,
Right.
and just a total kick ass song, man. I'm telling you, man, this really good song.
Hmm.
And we get to number 10. This is called Hallelujah. It comes right in, and I mean, it's just killing it right off the bat, man. The drums and the rhythm, man, with the, you know, the
Yeah.
you know,
I was so glad though at the end he didn't go into a double time thing. I
yeah,
would have been, no, this we're not going to church.
yeah. I do think that he said the hallelujahs were getting a little annoying to me because he was saying it so much, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, I know he's happy she's gone or whatever, and he's saying hallelujah. I get
Yeah.
that. I've said that before too.
Yeah.
But it just got a little annoying because he said it so much. But anyway, great song, man. And I mean, full blast kicking again. I mean, if you're driving on this CD, you're gonna get where you're going in no time
Mhm.
because this whole thing is just a speed record, man. I mean,
And
and
hence him,
for sure.
playing his
Number
part.
11 is Saint or Fool, and this is totally like Sabbath, even like Gillen, and made me pull out my Born Again album because I felt like this is off of that album. It reminded me of something that would have been on Born Again. Had the geezer bass sound even. I mean, it was totally Sabbath sounding there to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So another great song. And then we get to the Out of Time, number 12. This one he's caked on quite a few effects on his guitar, but it had a great bass line and just another great song, man. And you know, I always do stars by these songs that I like the most. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 out of the 12 I put a star by on this record.
Hmm.
You know, that's a
Yeah.
lot of
And
stars.
that's about the way I looked at the album too.
Yeah. So there's a few things I did think that they could have done a little bit better on the engineering for me. I mean, I did love the live sound. I thought it was great. I just felt like it was just lacking a little bit, but it did have that 70s sound. It sounded like something straight out of the 70s era. Something, you know, the Kiss sound had the Sabbath sound, you know.
It's just unfortunate though. I just think in today's industry, unless you're really searching for somebody that has really put together an analog studio, you're really not going to capture that
No,
old sound. You know,
right.
I mean,
And I don't know if that's what they did here, but it sounds like it's supposed to.
right,
Yeah.
right,
I mean, it has that great 70s sound to me, man. I mean, it really
yeah,
does. You know, I mean, I think the album starts great. The middle gets a little bit, you know, eh, but then it finishes huge. A couple of the songs were similar sounding, not much. Um, that's about all the knocks, man. I think the bass player was fantastic. And
mm,
like I said earlier, I love the way him and the drummer worked together on the solos. They changed the songs up a little bit as they went into the solos. I thought that was fantastic. You don't hear that much anymore,
no,
you know, which is
people,
part of having
people,
a great three-piece band, right?
yeah. And another thing you don't hear, and I didn't even hear it on this album. You don't hear bands modulating songs
Hmm.
the way they used to.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't hear that anymore. And I'll tell you, Rick Beato talked about that a little bit too. It's like,
Yeah.
they don't do it anymore.
No.
Everything stays in the same key.
Hmm.
It's like used to
Yeah.
be you do those modulations and it took it to a different level.
Right. That's true. But yeah, I think Jared, I don't know how if he just goes by Jared or Jared James Nichols, whatever. But man,
JJN,
what's that?
JJN, double JN.
Double J in? Yeah, however you want to call it. But man, he's a phenomenal guitar player.
He
And at
is.
times you don't even realize he's playing with his fingers.
No,
I mean, you'd never know it with some of the stuff he's doing. There are times when you can tell he's playing with his fingers, but all in
yeah,
all, man, I mean, the attack he gets on the guitar, it sounds like he's using a pick sometimes, you know.
yep,
But I mean, I think he's a great player. He's got a great voice. His tone is unbelievable. With the little effects he uses them well.
yep,
And man, that tone just, I love a good guitar tone, and
yeah,
he's ripping it in this record, man. So, I mean, for me, I'll tell you, I gave it an 8.7. There was a couple of things on here I didn't care for, but only minimal. I was just annoyed by a couple of things, but that was not much. 8.7, that's right up there for me, man. I think it's fantastic record.
yeah,
Like I kind of do wish, like you said, he would have put a slow burner on here or something to break it
yeah.
up. You
Something,
know?
yeah, to highlight just a whole different feel.
Yeah,
Uh, but yeah, I mean, maybe that's to come.
maybe.
Uh, uh, I'm gonna give him an 8.5. I'm I'm right there
Yeah.
with you. Um, you know, the I did have a few little qualms, but these were personal things. These are
Mhm.
things I personally would have liked to have heard.
Yeah.
But in the grand scheme of things, the way the album was put together and all the arrangement and everything, you couldn't ask for any better.
No. Yeah, and he wrote all the songs, him and other people, but he was the main guy on all the songs. So,
Right, right.
and it could be that this is might be a compilation of what he's done the past decade. You know.
Well, if he's smart, he'd be like any other songwriter. You have a whole notebook full of songs,
Yeah.
and the only thing he's selling you is stuff that's his middle of the road. He ain't sold you his best stuff yet.
Yeah. Well, that'd be fine. You
So
know.
if his middle of the road stuff's doing this, then
Yeah, I can't wait.
we, we're gonna get our eyes knocked out.
I know. I don't even know who he's touring around with or where he's even at, man. But I'd love to see this dude live because I can imagine it's
Yeah.
just going to be a head blower, man. You're probably not going to hear very well after his show.
He's toured. Yeah, I mean he's been touring. His company has been Boys Cult, Fozzy, Glenn Hughes, John Five, and Creatures. L.A. Guns, Living Color, Saxon, Walter Trout, UFO, Zach Wild. Uh, matter of fact, the pedal that he's using was one that Zach Wild.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. I
done.
don't doubt it. I mean, he says Zach's one of his guys. So,
Yeah. So and that's what he's using for his pedal.
Yeah.
So and you know his heroes are Joe Bonamassa, Peter Frampton, Billy Gibbons, Slash, Steve Vai, Leslie West, and Zach Wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, all the typical.
yeah,
Except
I
for
mean,
Leslie West, you don't hear much, man. And I think that's why he uses the one pickup because Leslie West was like that.
well, Leslie West was like that. Steve Marriott was like that.
Yeah.
In the early days of Bad Company, Paul Rogers, that's all he used was the melody.
Hmm. Yeah.
Looked just like a Les Paul, just had one pickup.
Right. Yeah. That's all you
Yeah,
need.
yeah. I mean, hell,
I mean,
God,
Eddie Van Halen ripped all his stuff out, used one humbucker in the back. That's it.
Steve Marriott could blow your head off with that one
Yeah.
pickup. I mean, God.
Heck yeah. So, all
But
right. Well,
yeah,
we'll go ahead and wrap this thing up. James Nichols looks like this. He's wore the guitar out. This album, he just totally shows you that he's a badass, honestly.
yeah,
Go check it out. If you're a guitar player, you got to hear this because, man, it is phenomenal. I mean, it's nothing like stupid, flashy, crazy 1,000 notes in a second. It's just all flat out just getting it, just
yeah,
rock and roll, getting it, man. So,
yeah. I think the and like you're saying, the flashy, crazy stuff. The only thing that stuff's being sold to anymore is other musicians.
mhm.
I mean, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm wore this subject out endlessly, but I don't like hearing
yeah,
the 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 double bass stuff that's being done.
yeah.
Uh, it takes away.
It
It
does.
takes away from.
Yeah,
I don't care. It's just like watching these people drive around these big pickup trucks and they never use it for anything other than to show off that they got a big pickup truck and spend too much money on their wheels.
yeah.
I mean,
But yeah,
but
I
I mean
mean,
that's what it reminds me.
yeah, and listening to this, man, I'm telling you, it's just like going into a club and watching a great three-piece rock band just tear it up, you know.
Yep.
Nothing over your head, everything's right there. You can relate to everything. It's great record, man.
As a three-piece band, you make a pretty decent living playing clubs.
Yeah. I mean, this guy's gonna be a monster here in a couple years. So
Mhm.
so catch him now.
Yep.
So, all right. Well, with that, we will see you guys next time. And until then, y'all be safe.
Peace out. Let's do music.